Washington retries the itch of the serial killer who scraped himself repeatedly with Virtuosity, Fallen, and The Bone Collector in the latter half of the 1990s, playing Joe, Dickie, Deacon, a worker who lives in rural Kern County, California. Dickie is a lonely divorcee who hasn't seen his children in ages, listens to classic love songs, and spends his days dealing with petty crime in his dormant jurisdiction. All of that changes when he is sent to Los Angeles to find a test that turns out to be his old playground. In Drips in the Dull, The Little Things reveals that Dickie was a superstar homicide detective in the big city but was left behind under somewhat nefarious, if semi-enigmatic, circumstances. Back in town, he is greeted with a mixture of suspicion and hostility. Her appearance also piques the curiosity of famous new detective Jimmy Baxter Rami Malek, who is currently trying to solve a number of related murders.
Can I help you? That was for another car.
Got a lot of miles.
It doesn't take long before Jimmy asks Dickie to escort him to his latest crime scene to help him out. This creates a young white veteran, older black veteran from Seven, whose aesthetic is mimicked when the duo arrives in the carnage in question and discover that the power has been cut and force her to navigate the interior using a flashlight. The film seems aware that it is following in Fincher's footsteps. Its story even takes place in the 1990s, but it doesn't care if it walks on worn-out terrain, nor does it show much interest in getting a new one-turn to make his model elected. Instead, they are just soldiers marching into familiar territory. Dickie uses his vacation to help Jimmy investigate a demon who loves to hunt down single women, tie them up, choke and execute them, and then suggestively pose their bodies.
Inconclusive, but there are some similarities to both.
There's nothing new about the villain from The Little Things, the BTK-esque M.O. He's not inspired by these stories. Writer and director Hancock puts less emphasis on scaring audiences with a particularly unbalanced lunatic than on dramatizing Dee's inner state, a man whose past mistakes left him in ruins. Dickie worked so hard on a previous case that he made the ruinous triplet of forced suspension, divorce, and triple bypass surgery. Years ago, he saw work on this murder involving his ex in flashback clips that tend to arouse super-religious Captain Carl Ferris and compassionate coroner Flo Dunnigan, Michael Hyatt. He is now a haunted man, a condition that Hancock literally expresses by asking the ghosts of the victims of this ancient crime to visit him in bed late at night.
Thank you so much. I'm kind of a crime buff.
And you know, if you're innocent, you should talk to me. Clear your name.
Why is that?
Little Things Unsubtle extends to depicting the evolving similarities of Dickie and Jimmy, both troubled detectives whose commitment to their work verges on self-destruction. Malek plays Jimmy with open rigor and tenacity, but he lacks the inner volatility and nervousness that the game demands. For some real energy, Hancock turns to Jared Leto, whose equipment repairman Albert Sparma becomes Dickie and Jimmy's prime suspect. Lonely with thread-like hair, a matching beard, and large, dark, mocking eyes that seem to have sunk into his gaunt face, Sparma is more than the serial killer look. And when he reveals he's a fan of these monsters and turns out to be some guy who experiences dizzying excitement while playing with cops while he pretends to be crazy, Dickie and Jimmy take the bait and see him as theirs boys. Dickie and Jimmy's unique approach to Sparma leads to more implicit discoveries as well as a game of cat and mouse where the potential killer appears to be holding all the strings. Thanks to a derisive performance from Leto, who is on the quiet side of insanity, The Little Things causes sporadic discomfort over the question of Sparma's true nature, sociopathic brain or Richard Ramirez's fanboy costume. And what if he's not just responsible for it currently? Reign of Terror, but also because of the slaughter that has plagued Deke's conscience for years. The climax of the film is a sequence in which Dickie follows Sparma to the site of a recent crime, only to have the crazy toy with him as he switches sides of the freeway. However, by focusing on Sparma's enigmatic mystery at the expense of a procedural-style forensic investigation, any actual intrigue is neutralized, leaving the procedure a guessing game of whether Leto's Bizarre is a wannabe or a real one. Dickie and Jimmy's unique approach to Sparma leads to more implicit discoveries as well as a game of cat and mouse where the potential killer appears to be holding all the strings. Thanks to a derisive performance from Leto, who is on the quiet side of insanity, The Little Things causes sporadic discomfort over the question of Sparma's true nature, sociopathic brain or Richard Ramirez's fanboy costume. And what if he's not just responsible for it currently? Reign of Terror, but also because of the slaughter that has plagued Deke's conscience for years. The climax of the film is a sequence in which Dickie follows Sparma to the site of a recent crime, only to have the crazy toy with him as he switches sides of the freeway. However, by focusing on Sparma's enigmatic mystery at the expense of a procedural-style forensic investigation, any actual intrigue is neutralized, leaving the procedure a guessing game of whether Leto's Bizarre is a wannabe or a real one. Washington brings its usual gravity and nuance to the role of Dickie. His hunched-over posture and curly physique suggest both the emotional and psychological toll he is carrying and the frustrated anger he is trying to contain. It is very sad and desperate how Washington moves through the frame, even in those moments when he steps into action to let his pent-up anger take over. He's as charismatic as always and as poignant as the material allows it to be, but that's not enough as DK's inner turmoil is too obvious to play a really resonant string. Plus, any revelation about the policeman's guilt doesn't go into the depths of the character and just appears as a standard piece of a pedestrian puzzle.
Those poor girls, or you don't matter. You're insignificant. This will go on. There's nothing you can do about it. And on and on.
The ending of Little Things hangs on some calamity caused by incredible decisions that are so irrelevant to the person in question that it is difficult to buy anything the film sells from then on. Even worse than that twist, however, is a climax that struggles to reach Channel 7 on attitude, situation, and potential threats. The only thing missing is a delivery truck that leaves a large box.